So welcome to the Holistic Life Podcast. I'm Jenny.
I'm Jay.
And this is another episode in our series of Coping Through COVID. And today we have a very special guest on. Her name is Emily Rivera. She's the angel coach. She's one of the most powerful women, one of the most strongest women. She inspires me in so many ways, and I think you guys are really going to love her. Today's topic is about spirituality and really trying to find ways to rise above the fear and to feel empowered on the things you can control and find that peace. So without further ado, I'm going to introduce Emily.
You just introduced
Or I'm going to welcome her to the show. Hold on. Without further ado, I'm going to welcome Emily to the show.
Welcome to my life, Emily.
Thank you so much for the opportunity to be here with you guys, and beautiful words, Jenny. I received that and I appreciate them, and honored to say that I am really inspired by both of you and what it is that you're doing in this platform and how you're inspiring people and how you're really showing people that there is another way to life, and that includes joy and freedom and just really, like Jay said perfectly, just that positive mindset that can lead into so much, get people through and lead people into another side that can offer so much beautiful things. So thank you. Thank you for this opportunity.
Yeah. So why don't you tell us a little bit more about what you do? Because I feel like I know because I've worked with you so closely, but I'd love for you just to really give a nice little explanation of what you do as an intuitive coach and the angel coach and what that means.
I think it's limited for me to say what I do. So I will share what my passion is, right? What my passion is and what I like to show up and support people through. I'm really passionate about helping people see that there's more to life than what our senses can pick up. There's more to life to ourselves. Like, we're limitless in so many ways and in so many areas if we allow ourselves to lean into seeing more of that. I'm also passionate in helping people understand that we are supported, that we each carry a group of divine manifestations that are loving us and supporting us and guiding us and really helping us find easier ways to experience life, more productive ways to experience life, and more ways for us to find freedom from things like fear and doubt and insecurities, and also the things that we can label as chaotic sometimes in this human experience. So that's what I like to help people through. It's been my experience since a little girl, where I've been blessed with the opportunity to see angels and other divine manifestations. And throughout my life, I've just been shown how to better fine-tune that for myself and also help others fine-tune that so that it can be a day-to-day experience for them as well.
I really like that, because when you're talking about the day-to-day experience and that connection and strengthening that, now we're living in very unique, different times where we are in a stay-at-home phase, or we have just came out of a stay-at-home phase, depending on when this actually airs and the timing and what's going on. What would you recommend that people do to strengthen that connection with themselves, with their higher selves, with their angels, their guides? Do you think all that's available to everybody?
Yes, I believe everybody and anybody can connect with whatever it is that they call source, God, creator, angels, whatever it is that they use, whatever language is used to identify that. I mean, it could even be higher self, but I truly believe we all have access to it. It begins with the mindset. What is it that we are willing to say yes to and explore as a possibility? Because a lot of times we move through life with expectations. And if there is a part of us that is in any way expecting that this is not for me, or expecting that such communication and connection and driving can be experienced by me, it becomes challenging to experience things like that. But I say that because it's like this paradox, right? We hear people all the time have these miraculous experiences, even if they don't think it's possible, can still find us. And when I say that is because the reality is that it's always with us. Find us in a sense that it's still available for our mind to find it, even if we're not searching for it. But it becomes a lot easier for us to perceive it, for us to really enjoy the peace and the connection and the clarity that can be tapped into when we give it time to think about it or explore things that can help us be more aligned with it. So your question, yes, everybody can connect to it. Everybody has access to it. But it first begins with the mind, right? Believing that it's available, because that's the first step. And then from there, what happens, just like anything else, when we believe something's possible, we become available to perceiving it, and we become available to looking for it or searching for it in a way that can be more accessible. So it is a great time for people to take time to start that conversation in whichever way they feel inspired, right? Whether it's with loved ones who are no longer here, who they feel are their angels or God, source, universe, creator, or higher self. It is an opportunity to go deeper into seeing what else is possible in life, especially at a time like this, when there is so many people feeling out of control, so many people feeling the idea of having the other side, the idea of having an end to this is so elusive. It's a great opportunity to go beyond the senses and go deeper and explore what else is possible, not just for myself, but for life and humanity, beyond all that is being said to me, beyond the social media, beyond the news, like beyond everything, everybody else's conversation. It's a lot easier for us to step away from the opinions. And yes, there's facts to what's happening. Of course, there's facts, showing what's happening. But there's also a lot of opinions being said. And there's a lot of fears, right? A lot of fears being fed from the opinions. The reality is this is a virus we don't know much about. We're still learning about it. But I will say it's been a beautiful conductor of union because it has brought nations together. It has brought us as humanity together to try to find a solution. It's not about the color. It's not about the race. It's not about the sex. It's not about what country we are from. It's an opportunity for us to come together and find a solution as humanity, right? So that being said, going back to the opinions, there's too many people leaning into the opinions instead of allowing something greater to feed the emotion, something greater to feed the next thought. And the way of the soul is that it lives from a knowing, right? And let's say it lives from facts in the sense like, there's a lot more than this life, but it doesn't live out of opinions, right? It thrives from a knowing. So when we're able to step into that space and place in which we can dwell in the knowing, it's easier for us to feel peace because we move away from all the conversations that reality, that's how the media makes money. It's like having opinions and conversation about how this can get worse and how we're trapped as a humanity. And is there really a way out? Like there's so many things that aren't really allowing, they're calling it the soul logic. Like, it's like, that's not connected to the soul logic. That's more of the fear logic.
Yeah, the head logic, the intellectual logic. You said mindset, and I find that to be a common denominator with all of our guests, even if they said it directly or indirectly. The common theme has been your mindset. If it's getting healthier physically, it's all about your mindset. If it's taking control of the chaos in your house, it's all about the mindset. Because right now I feel we're at a dawn of a new digital era. It's taking advantage of these situations and opportunities that are popping up. It's still about your mindset. And you said even today, even with this soul logic, it's all about your mindset. So it's interesting how it always comes back to the mindset.
Yeah. I just had a conversation this morning with one of my good friends. And she had started with a layoff where she was off for 2, working for 2. But she found out on Friday that it's just going to be a layoff until May, and then they'll hear what the next step is. She's someone like myself where we're both like A-driven. We've always worked really hard and had something to do. And she was like, man, I was just in such a weird place yesterday. It was pretty dark, some of it. And I just laid around all day. And she's like, the one thing I realized is how important my mindset is for all of this. And so, Emily, you said something when you were answering where you were talking about the mindset and then the going inside and the chatter outside. So what would you recommend? Because I feel like sometimes when we listen to the chatter outside, it's because we're searching for answers and we're looking for something to hold on to. So how would you recommend someone who's looking for external answers to switch and go internal?
Well, what I'm audibly hearing, and this is what's interesting. Yes, that's one reason people go outside the external chatter. But what I'm audibly hearing, it's about us being honest with ourselves that a lot of times we look at the external conversations because we're looking for distractions. We're looking from distractions from like really looking at where am I at? What am I feeling? What am I afraid of? What's really trying to stir within me that is trying to get my attention? So we kind of like try to find ways to numb the emotions, try to numb the thoughts. It's like we're giving everybody else permission to tell us how to feel and how to think because we're scared. We're scared to really look at what's really happening. But the thing is that it begins there. Like, what is it really that I'm feeling about this? And it might surprise many people. It might be that when they feel in, they're like, wow, I actually don't feel that scared about it. I feel pretty calm. But they can never know that if they continue to borrow everybody else's opinions and conversations. So it begins there. A lot of times, and this is not just even connected with the virus. It's like, unfortunately, the way our society finds itself moving forward is that we're continually looking outside for distractions. And the reality is for us to empower ourselves and for us to move to the thriving level that's possible and available for us financially, emotionally, and relationships, in all levels, physically, well-being wise, health wise, we are required to step into the self, right? To really evaluate, where am I at? What's happening? Because from there, we are in a place of empowerment. From there, that's the first step. The second step is that from there, we choose, we decide. And you're saying, how do you do that? So they're giving you guys steps, but also kind of letting people know it's like, let's just be real here, that we're just looking for distractions. If we can just speak to that and allow ourselves to say, okay, I've been distracting myself. Let me just give myself a chance to really tap in and check in with me, not anybody else.
That's really interesting because me and Jen definitely on opposite sides of the spectrum in our entire relationship. I'm an introvert. She's an extrovert, and I find peace with being by myself. And she finds peace with being out about with other people.
Not necessarily peace with that. I find enjoyment, but I'm learning to find peace. I just want to say that because I don't necessarily find peace.
Thank you for correcting me. I was about to take you out of the equation. But it's interesting. People always want to compare introverts and extroverts. And introverts are fine with being by themselves or like whatever. And what you just described, it's like some extroverts. Now, let me throw this out here, guys. I'm not saying all extroverts are looking for distractions. I'm just saying comparing it to what Emily just discussed. It's like sometimes it's like you're running out to be distracted because some people can't sit in, because if they sit and listen to themselves or be still for a moment, they have to deal with the reality of themselves.
Yeah, I can buy that.
It's interesting because there's two aspects is what they're showing me. They're showing me an infinity. So to me, the infinity, and part of what I connect with the infinity is that balance of the self, right? And there's two things to this. We organically and naturally are very communal because we're needing each other, right? For thriving, for nurturing, when we're babies, like we need other people. And what they're showing me, it's like they're showing me two different things. So it's a yes to yes. See, it's like it's not good or bad to be extrovert. It's not good or bad to be introvert. Right. It's just people connect to understanding themselves in life based on their history, based on their past, based on how they've been, growing and developing, based on two different things. And one of it is that, oh my gosh, you guys said it. Can you guys repeat it again? They were showing me visions really quick about the tribal, the community, the tribal. It's like humanity knew only a way to survive as a tribe, right? It's like as a tribe, but it also understood and knew the importance of the self, right? Or at least most tribes, or at least what we get perceived in, certain things of the idea, right? And also depending on people's idea of balance. Because some people, like for Jenny, her being extrovert, it's like I could see how it's very much connected to her purpose, feeding and connecting with people and like engaging and giving energy and taking energy and giving energy. It's like it's very much part of what she feels purpose is. And Jay has this quiet wisdom to him, right? And it's kind of like for him to refuel that wisdom, he needs to be in that space of isolation, right?
Yes.
So it's interesting. It's like,
Totally.
it's not good or bad. It's just good to be in awareness enough to know, okay, this is how I feel on purpose and this is how I feel on purpose. And what they were sharing, they said something and I'm trying to go back to it and I can't, but it's okay. If it's important, we're going to go back. But they showed me the vision so fast and it was connected with the whole idea of how our society as a whole has taught us that being alone or being in stillness or being alone means that you either are insufficient or not able to fit in. So it's like there's so many qualities and aspects that we've also been taking in from our society and we don't realize it. And this is what's important about what Jay does, where he takes time and he likes being alone and thinks about things. And also what Jenny does, which is good. She goes to explores and figures things out. Like, I want this, I don't want it. It's like it gets her driving and going. But in so many ways, our society has taught us that it's also not okay. And it's not fitting in if you're not trying to fit in or trying to please or trying to look a certain way and all these different things. That's not exactly the vision, but it's something about that. So I trust they're going to go back to it.
Well, and it makes sense because you talk about the infinity and the imbalance, right? So having recovered, this is how I'm going to explain it for myself, from being like a hardcore extrovert where you're right, Jay, like it was all about distracting myself because if I was home, I was like, I need to be doing something. Right. And so since I've been learning and I've been trying out some of the other ways, especially now, now's the greatest time to go inside and really figure it out. I'm really finding a lot of excitement in that space between the notes that Jay always talks about.
Ooh, I like that. Space between the notes. I like that a lot. When you said it, I'm like, oh, so they were showing me the balance because realistically, or at least this is how I perceive it. If those that don't resonate with this, just, you don't have to eat it up. You can be like, yeah, I don't want that, set it aside and let it go. But the way I know experience is that on some level, we are a united system. And what that means is that all of us on a soul level are interconnected. We're serving each other whether we realize it or not. And we're showing up for each other whether we realize it or not. And the highs and the lows, when someone's triggering a low for you and like, I want to go ahead and just do something about something, when they're triggering that, they're inspiring you to choose to be better, right? They're giving you an opportunity to be something better if that's how you perceive it, right? It's like everybody's offering us a gift, regardless of how they show up. They're offering us a gift because they're giving us an opportunity to choose who we want to be. And they're giving us an opportunity to reflect, okay, this is what I can improve, or this is what I can expand, and how do I go forward?
That is so true. Because I'm a believer that God, universe, your higher self, like you said earlier, however you want to call it, puts people into your lives for a reason. And it's some of my best friends are like Virgos. Virgos, you guys, you frustrate the heck out of me because we're just two different people. But Virgo, like my best friend is a Virgo. Like my dad is a Virgo. My grandfather was Virgo. Like I just met a new best friend at this last conference. She's a Virgo. So it's like I can't escape Virgos. But the type of energy that the Virgo has, the type of people that a Virgo is, I'm not going to call it a weakness for me, but it's like my strengths or areas that I'm a little weaker in or areas that they're like super strong in. So it's kind of like, okay, that's how you handle that situation. I can learn from that. And it's like vice versa because I feel some Virgos, I'm sorry, are pushovers. And it's like my Taurian in nature can like, hey, you can learn from me to be like not such a pushover.
And it's funny because as you're talking, I'm audibly hearing everybody is a driver for us, as much as we're a driver for them. Sometimes we're a driver that's all about loving and like, oh, you're the best. And we offer all this yumminess to the other person. But then we also have the drivers, the people who drive us in a negative way, let's say, right? Because they're pushing us to act a certain way or explore being a certain way or even just changing. Like, hey, I've decided I'm not going to spend time with this person anymore. That's still a driver. Because we're defining boundaries for ourselves, which we need. That's part of the gift of everybody who enters our lives, right? Everybody who enters our lives. So what they were showing me balance was, in so many ways, we're here to be a contributor to each other, contributing to the collective, contributing to that which goes beyond even this earth, right? The cosmos, let's say, this interconnectedness that's beautiful. And we are thriving with each other as much as we're thriving from each other. So the balance is like right now for everybody through what they're going through, whether you're introverted or extroverted, it's like the balance of it. Like the introvert offers the opportunity. It's kind of like finding the balance. Like they have mastered how to be alone, but they also have to show up in the world so that they can serve. So whatever it may be, whether it's because they're really a lot better at having interpersonal relationships with one people or two people, like, they're more dedicated to smaller groups of people and they serve that way. Then there's the extroverts, right? They're still mastering the gift of being in stillness or alone, but they are also serving, but they're just doing it in a different way, in a more interactive way. So it's all about balance with the self. And, and it's interesting. I'm going to say this with love. I think the hardest thing about humanity is that we are just inundated with labels, right? Inundated with labels.
Totally agree. Agree.
And even though introverted and extroverted is a label that can help us understand something, it contains so much limitation in two ways. Because if I was to show up to you and say, hey, I'm very extrovert, I very quickly am imposing upon myself whatever expectations or beliefs you have about what that is. But in some way, I'm robbing myself as much as you're robbing me from being something more than what your idea is of extrovert. The same applies for introvert. So I think that realistically, it's a good way to explain it. But again, it's a perfect time right now with what we're going through. It's like to redefine the labels we put on ourselves.
That is so true, because I hate when people say, I'm telling them I'm in the health and fitness. My background is like training. And they're like, oh, I know what you do. No, you have no freaking idea what I do. Like, because I guaranteed I'm like any other personal trainer that you've ever met. So, I totally get that label thing, because we hear that and we automatically go to what we've been conditioned or our experience with that particular word is. So it's not seeing the person for the person, but attaching that label or title to that person and putting them in a box.
I'm actually being reminded, one of the girls that I work with, when we started coaching, she said that she's a warrior. That's actually how she started, describing herself. Because one of the things that I do when I do my coaching is like, well, describe yourself. Tell me about you. Because right away I start noticing the language, right? The language that is like speaking loudly and hiding, right? Hiding behind the words, behind the mask. And one of the things that she said, I'm a warrior. And it was interesting because she brought it up again with everything that's happening, because we worked on moving that out. And then she kind of like was trying to pick up that label again with everything that's happening. And I'm like, well, what are other things that you've come to realize about yourself that are not binding you in the idea that you are required to worry? Because what happens is that when we label ourselves and other people, it's like we have a requirement. We hold a requirement for ourselves and other people without realizing it. And if we're able to show up different for ourselves, or other people are able to show up different, we put them in a prison, they're showing me. We put them in a cage, and they're not able to break free, even if they're showing us something different, right? Because our mind is only going to pick up the words and the conversations that we're having with them that feed that expectation, as well as for ourselves. But one thing that for her specifically is that I helped her to remember, like, what else are you? I like to remind people that we are meant to be free of labels, but if you're going to attach to a label, what's another label that can lead you through this? So that's another thing you can give your listeners here is that, well, I'm going to give you 2 exercises, but one of them is like, what labels have I been embracing that are making it harder for me to get through this? And like identify, like what labels, like for example, the label of extrovert is a good label to use as an example, and they're moving energy out. They just put energy out. Like even that idea, like removing that label. What else are you? And Jenny, you're great at meditation when you sit down and meditate. So you're a great meditator. You're able to connect to intuition. You're able to download creative ideas and businesses and thoughts. And like you're able to create, they're showing me discipline. You're able to create like structures, and you're able to, so you have all these other labels, let's say, that can actually help you through this and help you come out way more empowered and lead you into opportunities that are going to not just help you, but other people that can use these things that you can create, right? And that can help you find more peace through it. But what I'm saying is like, what labels do you have in place, and where can you modify? And if you're not comfortable letting go of certain labels, what labels can you start identifying that are part of you, that are already part of you, that can lead you through this? And if they're not there, well, what can I feed to equip myself in a way that's going to help me get to that end, get to that side?
Yeah. And I feel like another example of this came up in our mastermind with our coach this morning in the group, where she had picked up on how a couple people were saying that, it's really difficult to close deals right now. And she was like, whoa. Like, let's not claim that label as the way you're describing it. It's not necessarily difficult. There's people who are closing deals very easily right now. So let's remove that label, because the minute you start saying and believing that label, it becomes your reality.
And again, from experience, there's way, I just saw, I'm part of a group that I get to see certain things. And even just with my clients, I shared with you that some of them have been making more than they've ever made. So what that person said, yes, it's true, but there's a lot of other people that are proving that it's not true. A lot of people know that there's a lot of businesses out there with our coaching and coaching in general, and even just that those people who are driven to serve and changing people's lives. This is an opportunity to thrive, because it's an opportunity for us to use our skills and our knowledge that have gotten us through our own challenges to help people get through these challenges, right? Anyways, one of the things that I was going to say is that she closed $250,000 in sales in March. And that was selling $10,000 tickets for a mastermind. So what I'm sharing with you is that there is all possibilities in how we're going to decide this is what's happening, what can be offered, what can be experienced, and what can be the outcome. Okay, the other exercise. So I don't know if you guys know, I've been doing free divine conversations about the virus and how to move through it. The first one, they gave everybody a homework assignment, and they're telling me.
Share the name. Share the name on YouTube.
Awakensuperhuman.com. Oh, no, Awaken Superhuman in YouTube. But awakensuperhuman.com, you can register for the updates of the YouTube videos. But in the videos, we're really channeling everything that is required to move through what's happening, meaning like how to not feed the fear. Last time it was the harmony in the opposites and what's happening, what we're talking about right now. But they're telling me to give that exercise. So one of the exercises they gave, and Jay said it perfectly in the beginning when we were talking, was like getting to the other side, right? It's like, we are going to get to the other side. This is going to have an end. This is going to come to a place in which we're going to look back and say, whoa, do you remember when that happened? We're going to get there. And the reality is life is never going to be the same. That's just the reality of it. But the thing is, we decide how it's going to be. We get to choose how it's going to be. It might be that at the end of this, we're going to feel more empowered. We're going to be healthier. We're going to have a mindset that's going to drive us into thriving and into success, into better relationships. But the exercise it was nothing that we downloaded specifically, but it was, I forgot what country it was. And the leader of the country gave everybody in his talk an exercise. And they were to record themselves as their future versions, like imagining we were 2 months from now, 3 months from now, and we were recording from that person. So we were time traveling, and that future person, you, is recording a message to you now. And that person, when you record it, is telling you, hey, you made it. You made it. We got through this. We got through the virus. We got through the hurdles. We got through whatever it is you went through. You got it. And guess what? You did great. You danced through it. You laughed through it. You played. You fed your mind. You moved and stretched your body. And remind yourself what you're going to choose to feel. Like, hey, I'm proud of you, because during that time you chose to laugh. You chose to feed your mind. You chose to meditate, right? You chose to get more connected with your angels and your guides and your higher self. And it's like a video, pretty much a future version of you celebrating how well you did and really giving you a pep talk like, hey, don't give up. You got this. And that's the exercise we gave, but it's also something that was given by a leader in a country. I don't know if it was Italy or where it was, or France or something, but it was beautiful. It was beautiful. And that's what I would suggest your listeners to also explore as well.
Yeah. And as you were talking about that, one of the things that came to mind is, just this mindset shift that we can have in this moment where it's like, wow, this is such a unique time in our lives. Like, how often have you had an extended period of time to be able to connect with your family, connect with yourself, to connect with your kids, connect with your spouse, your whoever? When else have we had a time like this where we are able to create these amazing memories, amidst what's going on? I mean, I'm finding myself kind of enjoying this. I'm like, this is actually kind of fun. I mean, yeah, I know something's going on, but this is a huge opportunity, and it is going to be a short period of time. And so this month or two or however long it is, it's such a blip on the map. Jay, you talk about that a lot. Now he's being quiet. No, he does. He talks about that. He's like, this is just a blip.
Yeah, I mean, this is a temporary pattern interruption. Yeah, basically that's what it is. And this is, in the grand scheme of things, in the grand scheme of the gloom and doom, it's only temporary. And it's how you choose to look at the situation. Like, do you want to look at it from a scarcity mindset, like going into a store and buying a whole rack of toilet paper, buying everything on the rack because you don't know what's going to happen tomorrow? Or are you going to wake up and be like, you know what? I made it today, and I'm just going to focus on today because I don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. Anything can happen tomorrow, but I have today. So I'm going to make today awesome and amazing.
Yeah. And that goes into expectations and everything you were talking about. So I'm curious, right? Because sometimes we have conversations like this and we're like, yeah, it's just all about the mindset, just shift. And we're talking about these things. If people are really struggling with the pain and the emotional or the physical, or you brought this up earlier before we came on live, like that isolation pain, What can we do to really rise above that?
So 2 things I'm audibly hearing. So if you're not able to find it for yourself, and even if you have a hard time to still, quiet your mind and find stillness enough to lead yourself into another emotion that's more supportive, then practice borrowing right now. You're borrowing, too many people, again, we talked about it, are borrowing conversations and things from other people, opinions from other people, borrowing from social media and things and the news and all that. Well, why not just be more diligent in choosing to borrow more supportive thoughts by finding books that are more supportive, finding videos on YouTube or online that are going to be feeding your mindset to be more available to the positive, more hopeful, all right, to live more in faith. So that's it, starting with that. If you're not able to find it within yourself and you're having so much challenge with it, then identify a way to borrow from someone who's either mastered it or who's worked on it or has shown us that there's a way, right? Because there's a lot of positive things out there that go beyond the virus and even within the virus, positive thing that shows that people are recovering, that there's things that are working, maybe not consistently, but there's things that are working. Like there's a lot of positive things that we can choose to borrow, not just the negative. That's one thing. The second thing that I'm audibly hearing, and I talked a lot more about this on the first or the second call we did, was about our ability to be resourceful. There's many people that forget that we are resourceful beings. As humans, we're very resourceful. And it's really determined by how much permission we give ourselves to be resourceful. It's like I talked about this for us. We got plenty of toilet paper during a time where supposedly there wasn't any. But I chose to take time and remind myself that I am resourceful and that there's many different possibilities aside than what people are talking about. And I talked about the importance of why it's good to quiet the mind and why it's good to take time with the self, because you're also able to, in those times of stillness and those times of quietness or solitude, you're able to hone into that resourcefulness within you that can help you find ideas, solutions, and paths to things that you may not have known were available. I ended up getting toilet paper because I contacted a construction supplying company that only supplies stuff to construction workers. And I took my business license and they gave me the ability to buy from them. I was in a construction company, but I was able to get plenty of everything we needed. So it's about understanding that resourcefulness helps us to tap into ideas, possibilities, and answers that may not be available to us unless we remind ourselves that we have been designed to be resourceful. We've been designed to be resourceful.
This is one of those conversations. It's probably why Jay got quiet, because his introvert mind is just taking this all in and thinking about it and processing it and really just going deep, because it's a deep conversation. But I think it's really powerful. I believe it's really powerful to be able to help. And this is one that I can see you bookmarking and coming back to and listening to again and again. And even more importantly, looking for Emily in the ways that she's about to share. So if someone wants to hear a little bit more or learn a little bit more, you talked about the YouTube, but what are some ways that you're working with people right now, and how can people find you and connect?
So right now, there's 2 ways people can work with me. I'm not doing the events anymore, the retreats, because of everything, but they are going to come back. But I am doing private sessions. I opened that up where I do 15, 30 minutes or an hour, and I can just offer intuitive guidance for people. And then I also do coaching. Coaching is more about getting people a solution or an outcome specific to what they're looking for, whether it's business, whether it's relationship, whatever it might be. But we're also about to launch the Awakened Superhuman, which we are very excited and passionate about, because I really feel and believe that my purpose is to help people recognize and realize that they are superhumans. And what that means is that many of us know that we're here for something greater. Many of us know that we have been some way and in some form designed to rise above the human drama or chaos or troubles or the depression and the fear and like all this stuff that in so many ways have been taken on by us as the norm. If you're human, you're expected this. You're expected to feel this when this happened. You're expected to trip over yourself when this happened. Like there's so many things that we have been told and to expect about ourselves as humans. And that's really my passion, to help people wake up from that slumber or that sleep that, hey, yeah, that's what you've been told, but you're not human. You are a superhuman, and you're meant to awaken to understand that you're superhuman. Because when people can bypass whatever is stripping them over the idea of their humanness, when they can rise from that, they can experience true freedom, but they can also experience true fulfillment, because it moves individuals in a very different way. Which again, it's not, thank you, not being bounded in the idea of this is me being human. This is what human looks like. And that's really what we're going to be putting out there. Just pretty much a program to help people learn how to awaken them. They're superhuman, really. Awaken their superhuman. Excited.
Yes, that sounds amazing. And once you guys go back to YouTube and make sure you watch the recordings or any of the lives that are available with theawakenedsuperhuman.com so you can get the updates for that, because they've been really good. Emily, like I said, always been powerful, but she is definitely something else right now. So you guys definitely want to plug into that for sure.
I received that. And actually, I'm being told to say, so I received that. Thank you so much. But even if you go into the website, you can see a cool picture that I took where it looks like I'm flying in the cosmos in a DNA. So it's pretty cool. Just for fun.
What? I'm going to have to look again. I didn't even notice that.
It came out really cool.
That's awesome. Well, thank you for joining us. We're deeply grateful. I know my vibration has been raised through this conversation, and I know the energy will be felt by everybody. So when you listen to this and anytime you listen to it, you're going to feel your energy rise and your excitement rise and your inspiration and everything else. Thanks for coming on, Emily.
Well, thank you both. And again, just celebrating the impact that you guys are creating in the world and the many people that are being blessed with your message, your energies, your presence. And you guys are that beautiful, perfect infinity in the sense of the balance, right? It's like you said introvert and extrovert, but you guys offer so many beautiful qualities when you're together, and even that yin yang that can help us, bring balance with your messages and what you're offering to the world. So thank you.
Love it.
We receive that.
We receive that. Yes. All right, guys. Mahala.
Yay.